What's up, guys? So we've been doing a lot of work on the backend, setting up our GraphQL server, and I want to spend a little time on Next.js and show you guys how to actually combine, use everything that we created with the backend. So today what I want to do is create a register and login page, flush it out, create some forms, and show you how I'm going to persist the login and actually use all the features that we added to our backend. Now, if you haven't been following along and don't have the GraphQL server code or this Next.js code and you would like to, I'll put links in the description below. But let's just jump right into it. So here is the server that I have set up, and here's the schema for it. Now we need to make some changes, not to the schema, but to our resolvers, because we've been making some changes to our models and just how everything is working. And I already have the server running in terminal, and I have the client Next.js application running too. So as we make changes, those are just going to restart and reload, so I'm not going to worry about starting those up again. So resolvers here. Here's that register mutation I was just talking to you guys about that we're going to be using, this guy right here. And we're going to need to do it a little bit different. And the reason for this is we split up local auth and Facebook auth into two, and then we have a user here, and they're all related, right? Local auth is the email and password, and we're storing all the user information here. So what we're going to do now instead of just creating this user, right, is we're going to still create a user, right, but we're going to actually pick out some specific properties. So we only need isAdmin and the username. And then for local auth, we need email and password. So we're using a Lodash function here called, and both of these should grab from args. So args passed in is going to have all these fields, and we need to split it up because our user is going to need these fields and local auth is going to need these fields. So we're going to use a Lodash function called pick. And before, let's just go ahead and not install because we already have it, but import Lodash. So what this function does is it actually just takes the email and password property from args and just puts it in here. Same thing here. So it's going to have an object with the username and admin property. And the first thing we're going to do here is actually create a user. And here we need to change this to local auth because we need to hash it for local auth, not for the user. And we can actually, what we can do is actually do some cool magic. You'll notice how this thing is awaiting, right? What we also need to do is, so here I'm going to write out like a inefficient piece of code. Well, it's not that this is inefficient, but it could be more efficient. So created user, and we could say await, and then we're going to create our user, and we're passing in user. That's good. And the reason why we need to like break this out is because we also need to create a local auth too. So return models dot local auth dot create, and we're going to do dot 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 spread open our local auth, and then we're also going to pass in the user ID from created user dot ID, right? So the reason created user, I was like, why was that getting grayed out? So the reason why we need to create user first is because we need that user ID, pass it in to create our local auth. That way we can relate these email and password to an actual user. And if you weren't with us on why we split the user and local auth up, that's because we also have Facebook auth, so if the user decides to log in with Facebook, we have them separate. Alright, so this is a piece of code here, and now before I talk about the performance of this, I'm using the spread operator, and if we come to console here, you'll notice, hey, we have a crash, and that's what I realized. We did not set up Babel for this spread, so let's do that real quick because I love the spread operator. So we just need to say stage 2. So in the Babel RC, add that to it, and then come on over here to terminal and do yarn add, this is a dev dependency, Babel preset stage 2. And then this error will go away. Alright, so let's talk about the performance of this. This is decent performance, right? But we could actually make it better. And the reason for that is this does not depend on this. Both of these can happen in parallel, but right now they're concurrent, right? Line 94 runs, finishes, we hash the password, store it here. Then line 95 ends, or waits for this to finish and then runs this. But really they could be run in parallel. So why not do that? So const password promise. We're going to say password, yeah, why not? Is going to be this guy. And then const create user. I'm gonna, yeah, why not? We'll type it out. Create user promise is equal to that. And then what we're gonna say is password created user is equal to await promise.all, and then we're going to pass in our two, password promise and created user promise, and let's put an I there. So notice how we changed that there, and now we can just say password here and bam. Oh, that just gives a lot of errors, so let's fix those. Created user, or okay, no, this should be create user promise, and then we should get rid of the D here. And then we're going to say const password create user. Okay, cool. So now notice how we are getting promises for both of these. So they're going to be running, and then we're going to wait for both of them to finish. So now line 94, 95 will run in parallel. So just a little thing that'll speed up performance. Alright, so now we get the password, create user, and we're going to do the same thing here, right? Nothing changes. And that's all we need to do with the server. Everything else with the server is already set up and good to go. Let's just hop on to the client side. So we need to create a new page here. It's going to be register.js, and we are going to need to import React because we are going to be creating a form on this page, and we're going to use the state to store that. So register extends react.component, and in our state here we're going to have a username field, we're going to have an email, a password, and an isAdmin, which is going to be false by default. And then we're going to have a render function. And what I was thinking is we could actually, instead of making an ugly form here, is we could spice it up. And I'm going to just move that Visual Studio Code over because we're not going to do server stuff for a little bit, and use Ant Design. Just easy to set up and makes it look a little nicer. So we're going to install this dependency here, hop onto the server, and do yarn add ant. You could switch this out for another UI library if you like, and we're just going to use the import element and the checkbox, and maybe a button too. So we're going to put an input here, input, and we're going to put a few things. Name going to be username, and there's a reason why I'm filling out the name, as you'll see later. Placeholder, username, and then on change we're going to say we're going to get the event and the value, and then pass it to this dot on change, passing in the event and the value, and then we're going to create on change EV, and we're going to do some stuff here. Okay dokie. And actually we can just make this an arrow function. Cool. And then we can close you, and we need to wrap this in a div because we're going to have a couple of them. Okay. I just want to first make sure this renders okay, and also why are we getting red lines? Closing for input. Oh. Alright, let's make sure everything renders okay. We see it on the page. Excuse me. Make sure everything worked okay. Looks like it's taking a little long to load. Let's go to terminal real quick, see if anything's happening. Oh, looks like it's building that page. Okay, while that's spinning, we won't break anything by adding a couple more inputs. We're going to do email. We can do password as well. And we need to actually specify the type as password. That way, when we type stuff, it doesn't show. Default, oh, we didn't default export here. Oops. Export default. Next.js is so nice and tells you if you don't do export default. All right, we have some fields here and password. Cool. You know, these don't actually look styled, so I wonder if with ant-design if you need to actually add a style sheet. And I'm gonna add line breaks so these pop down. Cool. And then we need to do a checkbox, just like this guy. So let's import you. And let's add checkbox. And we can copy that because it's going to be the same thing. So I think it used placeholder, we'll see. So is admin. Notice how I'm matching up the names with what I called it in the state. That's important. Placeholder here is admin. Put a question mark, why not? Type, we don't need to worry about. On change, good. And okay, so they wrap it like that. So they don't do a placeholder. So I should do like this. Let's say admin checkbox, and then get rid of placeholder. Okay. Now if we come to register, we should see admin. Nice. And yeah, it doesn't look like it's getting styled. Worry about that at the end of the video, making sure the CSS pops up. Let's also do a button. So I have no idea where that is. Here we go. And let's just do a primary button. So type primary, checkbox, button, type primary, and it's going to be submit. And let's add some line breaks here and here, and our form should be good to go. Let's see it, and I'm just going to, actually this is not going to work quite yet. I was going to say make sure on change function is working, but we actually need to make that. So we're going to do this dot set state. That way, every time someone types something or clicks a button, right, we're going to update the state of our application. And to do this, we're actually going to get this name field to know. So notice we're calling the same function, no matter what input box it is. So to differentiate them and know which part of the state to update, we're actually going to grab the name field. So we can get that by doing e.target.name, and that'll actually give us the value. That's why I'm using brackets here. That'll give us the value of this variable and store it. So that'll be like username here, or it might be email, and then we can get the value. All right. So now, if you have React Dev Tools, you can go to that, and we can actually see this change as we're typing. So go to register. You can see all the fields here as I'm typing. If we did it correctly, which we didn't, we would see it pop up there. Okay, so something went wrong because we didn't see it here, and you can use this to check your own code too. So if I hit submit, for example, what we can do is do on submit, and we don't even need to do pass anything. We're going to just console.log this.state. So we can see if the values of these are changing too, which we know they're not because we saw that. And I think just we don't need to do the, I was thinking the value would be passed as a second parameter too. That's how they do it in Material UI, but for this it doesn't look like it is, and that's a-okay. up here, instead of taking 2 params, take 1, and we can get it from e.target.value. Alright, now coming back here. Oh, right, this will auto refresh for us. I was like waiting for it to refresh, but it already does that for us. So v is not defined. We got oh, I was gonna say we got rid of v. Forgot to get rid of it from actually passing to the function. Alright, cool. Now, if I start typing stuff, v is not defined. Oh, didn't restart yet. There we go. And submit. We actually need a wire submit up. So when we do on click, you can actually see it. This dot on submit. And by the way, we're going to hook this up with GraphQL as soon as we get this going. And so, alright, we just restart, hit submit. This dot on submit's not a function. What'd I call you? On submit. This dot on submit. Why is on submit not a function? I see you right here. Let's say console.log hi. Make sure it's there. On submit, this dot on submit. This looks fine. I'm not sure why that's not working. Let's click it again. This dot on submit is not a function. That is super weird. Let's see if the state's not changing either. So what we can do is we can console log e.target.value, and we can do e.name. That way we can see what field is changing and what the value is, and if it's doing it correctly. So let's get rid of that. And for whatever reason, it's not even being called. On change is never being called for this input field. Alright, things are acting up. Whenever things are acting up like that, I just like to restart the server and make sure that's not what's causing these weird things to happen. If it still doesn't work, usually we can come here and see if I need to do something besides on change. Like maybe ant doesn't have on change, maybe it's on type or something. So let's see. Type value default, so it tells us what the values we can grab are. On search, that's true when you click on the search icon. Input value. Oh, we actually need to set the value of these. That's what I was doing wrong too. This dot state dot email. Sorry, this should be username. I mean, that was obviously not a problem because the value was being changed there. But it's good to have the value reflected in the field. This dot state is admin. Cool. And let's see what this looks like. Nice. So you notice the value is undefined here. Input is changing and uncontrolled. So now we can type this here. That works. So with our checkbox, I think the checkbox passes a value in. So we can actually grab it like this. So now here, we can get the value and we can say v or value, but this doesn't work because the boolean might be false, right? So what you're going to need to do is say it's equal to undefined. So basically if this parameter is not defined, then you get the value. Otherwise, it is defined and we want v. So you can also print v out. And that's just to get this checkbox working. And did the server start back up? We're getting undefined, but then we're not getting a crash. So I think it's working because it's not printing the value. Something's not getting printed. Let's see when I submit. It's still getting undefined. Interesting. So for whatever reason, the checkbox maybe. So let's go to this real quick. we go to checkbox, select, we can look at their props. So, okay, check. So it's like where the box is selected on change. Okay, so it has one parameter event, so we don't have to worry about the V thing I was doing. Sorry about that, guys. You can forget I was doing that. And checked, so we don't set value. Well, I saw value here, but here it's checked. Okay, so value here should be checked. On change, you pass just E. So it should be E.value, but it could be for checkboxes checked. I'm actually just going on a total whim there. I'm actually not sure if target.checked is a thing. We're about to find out though. Because if value is undefined, I don't know what else they'd call it. So notice how it's undefined, right? But we're only getting printed that once. So I'm curious if the value is undefined. What we can do is we can say console.log e.target and we can see what values are available to us. Because I'm not sure what the value of checked is. Because like notice how this works, email's fine. bob@bob.com. See how that works just fine? But we print this. Okay, this is not working. Right? Because console.log target did not happen. I'm going to put some console.log statements here so we can see what the value of each one is. Here we go. So I just pick a random symbol. And now we know what should be under it. So whichever one is missing, when we click on this checkbox, okay, that's fun. I'm going to uncomment set state. Nothing is getting console logged right now. Yet isAdmin is being logged. I'm doing so many more console logs. I think it's just need to refresh the page. So some stuff is getting hot reloaded, some stuff isn't. Alright, so true. So e.target.checked is actually a thing. Alright. Now I know exactly what to do. So if this is undefined, then e.target.checked, else it's just a regular field. Bam. Alright, we're good to go now, guys. Sorry it took longer than expected to get this up and running. Username, Bob, bob@bob.com, Bobby. And we're an admin. And bob@bob.com, Bobby admin. Bam, and we got us a nice little form going on. Let's finish off this little form with a little bit of GraphQL. So just like we did index page, we are needing with data and these two. So come back to register. We're going to import those guys. We need to wrap this with import data, export default. Sorry, not import data, with data. And pass our, so const, we're going to have to create a, we're not export defaulting here. So first we need to wrap this register thing with GraphQL. So we're going to say GraphQL register is equal to GraphQL. We're going to pass in a mutation. So register mutation. We actually need to create that mutation. And then here we're going to pass in our component. So here's our component. Here's the mutation we need to create, creating a new variable. That's what we need to pass here. That's what we're going to export. Not sure why this is red. Export default with data. This looks fine. I don't know why that's, maybe it's because register mutation is messed up. Alright, so const register mutation. This is going to be our mutation that we're going to pass in here. All right, and we don't need compose. Still don't know what's going on there. I'm curious if this will even refresh, and it might not, which is fine. So I'm going to go to localhost/graphical to help us create this mutation. And here we're going to have a mutation, and we're going to have a few variables. The first is username, which is a string, which is not mandatory. Actually, we should probably make it mandatory. Email, which is mandatory. Password, which is mandatory. And then is admin, which is a boolean, and that's not mandatory. And here we're going to register, passing in username, and then our email, password, is admin. Run that. We don't really need anything back from it, so we can just grab the ID to make sure it worked. And so we just need to pass those in. So the cool thing about GraphQL is to run this mutation, we added it in with GraphQL here. So now it actually creates a function called this.props.mutation for us. And we just need to pass in variables, and our variables are this.state. Oops. So it's important that your variable names here, username, email, password, variable, is admin. That's what we're passing into variables. And variables here are your variable names here. Those all match up. All right, now let's run this guy in action here. So we're going to create Bob at bob.com, Bob, and we're not going to make Bob an admin. Submit this.mutation, so something went wrong. Let's make sure everything's good, because we should have a mutation one if we did it properly. And register. Oh, it's mutate, not mutation. Mutate. Let that refresh itself, and then we can resubmit. Cool. And it refreshed here. Bob at bob.com. Bam. Alright, so nothing happened, which is what we would expect, because we're not, doing anything to see if it worked. So maybe if we just get all users here, grabbing username, email, we can see if Bob shows up. And of course my query doesn't work because we changed some things, and email is going to be in a different field now. Email actually we can't grab, and username is not knowable. Okay, so this thing is just messed up. We'll have to fix this query some other time. What to make sure this mutation did work, I'm going to just check the database. So if I type psql, I can connect to test GraphQL, and I can select all from users. And I did not do that right. And all right, cool. So we have Bob here. You'll notice how and he's non-admin. We're not storing the email here. That's in a separate table. What we could do is we could select, and notice how his ID is 2. We could select from, and what do we call it? Local storage, local auths. Bob at bob.com, and his user ID that he's assigned to is 2. So it lines up nicely. Alright, so this tutorial is getting kind of long just to get this set up. So I think I'm going to end this guy here. We have this nice register form set up, and we're able to do a mutation, create it, but the magic is really going to happen in the next video when we log in now. And I'm actually not going to end the video. I'm just going to debug and see if I can get ant design CSS to pop up here too. So if you want to stick around, you can. I'm going to be doing that. But that is it for the GraphQL Next.js part. So let's see why this guy didn't. I'm assuming I'm just missing a style sheet that I need to import. Let's just go to getting started, or using in create React app, because it's going to be basically the same thing. CD into ant demo, we add it here. Ant lib button, and we just needed to add our ant dist at the top of source CSS. Alright, so let's just import this guy. I don't know why they're doing a squiggly here. Let's just try that. And refresh. Oh, that's fun. Error module parse. You may need an appropriate loader to handle this file. That's disgusting. Customize theme, third-party libraries. We don't have to worry about third-party libraries. First example. So basically we need to actually add the CSS. So let's just Google this. It'll be easiest, I think. Ant design Next.js. Let's see how everyone else is adding the CSS in. This is no host custom modules, don't care. Styles, ant design dist. I'm pretty sure I'm doing that, yeah. I mean, okay. I can do that. Import styles from. I'm not sure why that wouldn't crash still. We can try it though. While it's loading, we're going to keep looking because I don't think it's going to work. And did it? No, yeah, same error. Alright. Nothing. Actually, he got 5 upvotes. What did he do? Add to import on demand. We should add Babel plugins. We shouldn't have to touch Babel for this. Add ant design example. Download. Can we just view this file? Yeah, view. Cool. This is exactly what we want. The examples of how to use Next.js along with ant design. Alright, so we go into pages, index, and they're not showing how they're getting the style sheet though. I wonder if it shows, I actually don't know where else it would be. Maybe in their Babel they're doing something. Yep, looks like people are doing stuff in Babel. Let's do that too. .babelrc. Let's create a .babelrc. Paste you here. And we'll get rid of styles. Alright, cool. Does that work? React tended to reuse markup in a container, but the checksum was invalid. This means that the server rendering the markup shown on the server is not affected. Injected new to compensate. No idea what that actually was trying to say. I'm just going to restart the server. Oh, that was our errors from doing queries. Bundle error. Import specified. I think we just crashed everything. Failed to compile with one error. A node plugin import specified in hello world. We might need to install something in our package.json. Yeah, we're gonna need to install this guy. Is there anything else here? Next, we have everything else. So yarn add. The one thing I've noticed is nothing just works in Next.js. I have to do extra stuff. Okay, we have that now. I don't know if the server will auto detect it and then fix it. Doesn't look like it did. So let's restart you. Looks like it's reading from the Babel RC. Looks like it's actually maybe building. That looked kind of promising, and it's not. I don't see it at all still. Okay, I think we have the exact same thing as this guy here. We have ant d, we have Babel plugin. Our Babel RC, we copied him. Our only thing is going to be index. That could be different. Oh, look at that. He also, oh, he's actually just doing this. This is what we need to do, guys. I'm a noob. We don't need this, I don't think. And we can do yarn remove. Yarn remove Babel plugin import. I think he was using this for something else. That's where the magic is right here. We can put it in our head. And is he doing a local provider? Cool, dude. Alright, so we're doing a head here, passing in a link, and we're just getting the CSS. It's a shame we can't just import it locally. I'm not sure why that didn't work. Did I stop the server? Is that why? Yeah, we did. Okay. I don't like adding style sheets like this. I much prefer, it's much better to import it. It's faster that way. That's how Create React app works, is you can just import them in up here like I was trying to do. And that's actually what the tutorial on the site does. I wish I could do that here. They're adding it to the header and then letting it do it there. Head's not defined. Oh, I just need to import it. So that's coming from straight from Next.js. That's a Next.js thing. And paste it in here. So far, I'm actually liking just Create React app better, I think, than using Next.js. But bam, a little bit extra work, a little bit. But we finally got these guys rendered. These are stretching across the whole screen. Wonder if I can get those down a little bit. Let's go to inputs. Here we go. Size large. Let's do a default size. Placeholder, default size. So why is this one stretching the whole screen? Basic usage. These are the same thing. There are three sizes of input boxes: large, default, small. Okay, this looks this input here, right, is mapped to this default example. Looks the exact same as this, except this expands the whole screen, this doesn't. I think that's just that. Input group. I mean, we have an input group. I don't think we need to do that. I guess it's fine. It's not the prettiest form. It'd be nice if we added some padding on the side so it looked okay. Is there anything else I want to add while I'm looking at this? Height based on content length. That's kind of interesting, kind of laggy. What else? Yeah, I think that's it. See, look, how come this is not doing the whole length? Max length 25 characters. Let's put a max length on ours. We don't need it that long. You shouldn't be typing in a password that long. Is it capital L? Yep. Give you 100 characters. Oops. Max length 100 characters. Alright, let's see if that looks any different. I guess it doesn't because it just expands. Did they do anything? Oops, weird here. Placeholder on blur. They did nothing else. I bet they have some style or something they're using. Yeah. Probably this. Well, I mean, that's the min width. It's expanding. Okay, we're just going to leave this as is. It looks semi-nicer. I'll let you guys style it and make it look pretty. I'm not a designer. Let's get rid of you guys. And bam. So thanks for watching. If you guys stayed a little longer to check out how ant design was working. I got it working, so that's nice. In the next video, we will be doing login and saving that, storing localhost, and persist sessions. So that's going to be pretty neat. So again, thank you guys for watching. Looks like we could actually please use a Babel plugin import. Using a whole package of Ant, please use Babel plugin to reduce app bundle size. So that's why that guy was using this. That way it was not ginormous. Now we could probably add that, why not? So yep, that's it for this video, guys. We'll probably do that in the next video. Thanks for watching. See you soon.